Hi, I want to welcome you to ThistleWood Manor, home of extraordinary, elegant events. Like we do weddings here, and I am privileged to be the owner and the chef here at ThistleWood Manor. We're going to make a chicken pot pie. And of course there are a myriad of different ways that you can make a chicken pot pie. As we kind of work through today in this plan, feel free, of course, to experiment, add or subtract whatever ingredients, are your favorite ingredients. You can do that. Some recipes you may come across will tell you to boil your chicken. I highly discourage you to boil your chicken. Boiling chicken is great for making chicken stock, but there you have a lovely chicken stock where you've got all the flavor out of the chicken that's now in the stock and your chicken is bland. So I recommend a roasted chicken. You can take a whole chicken and roast it in the oven. You can even cut it up and saute a chicken would be better. Or you can even cheat like I did. I actually bought a rotisserie chicken from the grocery store and I have just cut it up really nicely there into bite-sized pieces. The first thing we're going to do is actually work on our pie crust. Again, I think a fresh homemade pie crust is going to be one of the key things that makes your pie stand out. Whether it's a fruit pie or chicken pot pie, meat pie, whatever you're making, this is the best thing. Important thing about this, very simple ingredients. There's flour, I already have salt in here measured out, and then our butter. And my butter's been sitting here on ice because it's very important that your butter is cold. And I have some ice water here also waiting for us. There's a couple of different things you can do with a pie crust. The difference is they call it a mealy pie crust is I guess really a smooth pie crust. Probably mostly what you would buy and purchase would be that. But if you want your pie crust to be a little more flaky, then you might, it's really in the size that you leave your butter chunks. The smaller they are, the more of a smooth, mealy pie crust, and then the bigger your chunks, the more flaky your pie crust is going to be. And then again, cold water is very important, and we're just trying not to get ice in here, but we're just going to toss the water in with your flour mixture, just enough to get it to where it's starting to stick together. So should be able to get in here and make a ball. When you're measuring out your ingredients for a pie crust, and really in baking, it's really a good idea to have a little scale, because flour can be pressed down or it can be fluffed up, and so when you're just measuring by the cup, then it can be either too heavy or too something or another. What we're doing here, this is usually about a 10 to 12 ounces is a good amount. A nice little flour surface there. One thing you don't want to do is overwork your dough. When you overwork your dough, it tends to make it tough. This is true in any kind of a quick bread. You don't want to, like biscuits or something like that. And another little key, and the reason why we really want to make our pie crust first, is because your pie crust really needs to chill before you put it in the oven. The next thing is our vegetables, and we're going to do, again, roasting. We were talking about roasting. Roasting to me is one of the best things you can do for almost any vegetable. And so this is actually one of the things that we're going to do today, is we're going to roast our veggies that are going in our pot pie. Just the corn, the carrots there. We have our potatoes. And I might just tell you, how a chef holds a knife. It's like you always actually hold it out on the blade with your thumb and your forefinger, and then wrap your 3 fingers around. That is the most control that you have over your knife. Less chance of slipping and cutting a finger. So from there, we are just going to simply roast these vegetables. We're going to kind of drizzle. The important thing we started out with, our oven is at 425, And you want it to be nice and hot when you are going in. Got your little salt and pepper. And this will take about 10 or 15 minutes in the oven. So while those are in there cooking, we are going to start our roux, our sauce more or less. So the butter's just been sitting over here already, so it's already kind of melted down there. So we can go ahead and throw our onions into the batch there. And what we're going to do is just saute these onions just a little bit. We want them to be nice and tender, but not necessarily brown. We have our flour, salt, pepper, and a little bit of thyme mixed here together, ready to go in to make our roux. And then I've already mixed our chicken broth and milk here that goes into this roux. Now our onions are tender. They're pretty tender, sort of translucent, but not necessarily like browned. And now we're just going to add all of that in there, stir it fairly vigorously to get all that mixed in. Watch your heat. You want to pull it off the heat a little bit because you don't want it to, it'll start thickening up really fast. You want to make sure it's all mixed in good. And then you can start pouring in your chicken broth and milk. So we've got our roux. It's pretty nice, nice thickness. We've been occasionally tossing our veggies, and they are just about ready. I think that you can go ahead and pull the corn. Leave the rest of that in there for a couple more minutes. And we're going to slice this off of, add my chicken over here, and then I'll use this bowl and our peas. Then all we need are our veggies. Slightly browned on each side, a little golden color, making them quite yummy going into this. So our pie crusts have been chilling, and we are now ready to put all of this together. And then we're just going to pour this into our little pie crust here. And then we just take our top piece of pie crust and lay it nice over the top. Notice it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it to be fairly even around with your dough. And the way you kind of crimp it is you lift up both layers and then fold them under. So they're kind of mixing together a little bit over the edge. Kind of go in and press it down so it's kind of going over the edge. That'll help hold it from what they call slumping when your pie crust all falls in. And as I'm pinching and gathering, I'm sort of also going over the edge again to kind of help anchor it. And then we're going to take our knife here and just make a few little slits, and that we're going to put in our oven that's still nice and hot, around 425-ish. I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to immediately lower the temperature to about 375 on your stove, and then probably in about 10 minutes or so, I'm going to put our little pie crust edge over so it doesn't get too brown, and then in about 30 or 40 minutes, we're going to have a lovely pie. While this can make a delicious meal all of its own, it can also be very lovely mixed with just with a little simple little green mixed green salad, side salad, and I really like it with a bowl of, or a little cup of tomato basil soup. So you might put your favorite soup with it if you like. come off nice and pretty. You see the flaky crust? Done. And there you go.